Providence. We asked if the city should file for, city of Providence should file for bankruptcy, or if the state should do something to step in. What were the results on that one?
In that question, 71% felt the state should step in and do something to prevent bankruptcy in the city of Providence. Only 19% of the residents said the state should let the city file bankruptcy.
Now, we didn't say what step in means.
No. No. All we did was say step in. We didn't say provide them with money. We didn't say provide them with relief from certain contracts. We just said, should the state step in? People feel the state should step in. What they should do is another question.
If we had asked the question, do you think if the state were to supply taxpayer dollars to bail out Providence, do you expect the results would have been different?
I would think the results would be different, but again, I don't have the crystal ball that shows me that at this time. But I would think if you're talking about taxpayers' dollars, people feel, well, that might raise my taxes. They may have some concerns at that point.
How do union households feel about that question?
Union households, 74% said the state should step in and help the city of Providence. So the unions are very much supportive of the state helping the city of Providence.
Are there any groups in the crosstabs that favor bankruptcy in any way?
No, there's no group that favors. The group that favors it the most are Republican voters. 28% of them said they would favor letting the city go into bankruptcy. Again, Republican sample is fairly small in the survey, so keep that in mind. The margin of error within Republicans is rather large. But they were showing about 28%. They were the biggest group. Besides that, every other group very strongly felt they should try to avoid the bankruptcy in the city of Providence.
How much did Central Falls play a role in this question?
Well, that's the thing. We did mention Central Falls in there, that, this would be like Central Falls. And I think people feel like, do we want Providence to become another Central Falls, where the receiver comes in and does a lot of things, makes a lot of cuts services, cuts salaries, and it seems that people don't want to see that happen at this point, especially the capital city.
Well, I'm wondering if this surprised you, the results surprised you in any way, because one could argue that in Central Falls, the cuts are making a difference. They're able to pull that city back from the brink. Of course, time will tell. So did it surprise you in any way that it was so overwhelming, saved the city from bankruptcy?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be probably maybe 55, 56% people saying save it from bankruptcy, and those let it go into bankruptcy a little bit higher. So I was kind of surprised when you get 71% saying no, don't let it into bankruptcy. That's overwhelming. So obviously the residents of Rhode Island want to avoid the capital city from going into bankruptcy. That would really shed a black eye on the state of Rhode Island when the capital city is in bankruptcy. And I don't think people want to see that happen.
I'm guessing the numbers would probably be a lot higher if you pulled simply Providence.
Oh, I would definitely think so.
All right.
Definitely.
Move on to the next section, casino gambling. What is different about the casino question this time around than when it came up? 2 voters on the ballot, 2006.
Well, in 2006, what we found was there was really strong opposition coming for the casino in Rhode Island. The opposition was basically coming from Twin Rivers. Now, this year, in 2012, the support for the casino gambling is coming from Twin Rivers. So at this point in time, there's not a strong base of opposition towards the casino gambling question in Rhode Island. As a result, the survey shows that 55% of the voters in Rhode Island support casino gambling in Rhode Island and 39% oppose it. So it still could become a competitive question, but at this time, there's no group out there with, let's say, large amounts of money that could mount a campaign against the casino question statewide at this time.
And we all remember Lincoln Almond was the face of the opposition for Twin River and a recognizable name. But the 800-pound gorilla in the room for this question is Massachusetts.
No question. I think the voters of Rhode Island are looking at the fact that Massachusetts in the next 3 or 4 years are probably going to start having casinos, and in turn that's going to take away people from Rhode Island. The gambling in Rhode Island right now is a big, big impact on our state budget. If we start losing that, that money would have to be made up or more cuts in the state budget. And if people don't want to see that, they would prefer to see the casino gambling than more budget cuts or more tax increases.
Back to the opposition issue, just because the question does well statewide, or casinos do well statewide, that doesn't mean small pockets of opposition couldn't sink it.
Right. There's no question about that, Tim. What we could find is simply the home communities of where these things are going to take place have to also approve it, which would be Lincoln and Newport, if Newport also goes on the ballot, which the council has just asked to have it put on the ballot. So if I'm working against casino gambling, I might look at Lincoln, I might look at Newport and say, let me try to sink it in those 2 communities. And if I can sink it there, the question's dead. I don't have to spend $3 million statewide on advertising. I get zero on Lincoln, I get zero on Newport, where small groups of maybe 20,000 voters, and send my message there for a lot less money.
It would be an uphill battle to change the entire state's mind.
I think it would be a very uphill battle, and it would take a lot of money in order to do that.
Anything in the crosstabs that are of interest to you? Is anyone split on it?
Well, basically, the casino gambling gets a great deal of support from males, young voters, 18 to 39, Democrats, and union members, I should say. The opposition, not that they're against it, but where the race is a lot closer, is among females, where it's about 9%, among middle-aged voters, where it's about 7% difference, and among Republicans, where they favor it 52% to 45%. So there are some groups where the numbers are a lot smaller, and again, if I'm working against it, I would target those groups and try to move those my way first, then go to the other groups and try to move those.